Welcome to GovCon Unscripted, where we dive into the unfiltered stories and strategies from all around the world of government contracting. Join host Chelsea Roberts as she explores how to navigate, thrive, and win in this complex but lucrative industry.
All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to GovCon Unscripted. I'm your host, Chelsea Roberts, CEO of Collaborative Compositions. And today we are on the road to HUBZone with TeamingPro founder and CEO, Tim Hagerty. Tim, who are you and what do you do?
Chelsea, really nice to meet you or see you here. So I am the founder and CEO of TeamingPro. So we are on a mission to basically connect all the companies within the federal market as being an easy to use teaming platform to be able to go and facilitate that.
And I am a big fan of teaming and all things TeamingPro, so I'm really excited for this conversation. We're going to talk more specifically about HUBZone and the HUBZone Conference coming up. So I know that TeamingPro has a pretty big role in the HUBZone Conference, but why don't you start just giving us a brief background of what TeamingPro is and how it works, and then we can dive into the role that you're going to have in the conference.
All right, basically to give you an idea of why I started the whole thing. So I've been in the federal space about 23 years. And I used to be GS, so I worked at the Norfolk Naval Safety Center here. I'm coming to you from Virginia Beach. It's great here, actually. So I worked with the government there. I was GS 12, I made GS 13. Then I went private and worked for a woman-owned small business. We were 8A in the aerospace industry in the federal market. And so I was director of R&D, so I ran all the internal projects as well as some government contracts. And so now with this, I was tasked to go work business development. And up to that point, I was the guy in the basement. And, so didn't really let me out. Right? But here, I kind of got nudged to go work BD. So I knew the opportunities I was going for, right? And I had no idea what business development was when it started, right? So I'm like, great, this is great. What's BD? Okay, awesome. All right, but hey, I'm a team player. All right, cool. Go. And so I had the opportunities. It wasn't hard to find the ops, right? But then I realized, okay, I needed partners. And the company that I worked for, we're a small business, right? And so we probably had about maybe 350 people-ish. Okay. We were running for a good, call it 10 years at that point. And our network was only so big. Right. So and I knew everyone in the company and we had BD guys who have their connections. And so I went to a convention and it was in DC. I think it was the Ronald Reagan Convention Center. Yeah. And I looked out over the edge because I was there. I'm like, all right, this is where you go. I'm going to go find partners. I'm going to do something, right? So I'm going to a convention. Yeah. And I looked out, I saw 4,000 people. And I'm like, oh, man, and how in the world am I going to find the right ones?
Yeah.
Out of this
None of them
sea
have
of
blinking
people.
arrows over their head.
Nobody does. It's crazy. Yeah. So then I kind of got the idea of, okay, there's got to be a better way. So I turned to the data. When I'm building tech, I'm a big data guy. And I narrowed down the list of companies that I could talk to based on their past performance. And that's kind of how it all started off with those data searches. Unfortunately, it wasn't quick enough to do it while I'm at the convention. Yeah. While I was there, I realized, I'm like, wow, man, this is a lot of wasted time. It's needed. To that point, it was like the only good medium to go and actually make a connection. I'm like, ultimately, if you didn't know anybody, you're going to go mix it up. But it's very slow. I realized that a whole lot of small businesses had the same exact problem, right? Networks are very small. And so they have to go do the same thing, which is a very expensive proposition. Conventions are expensive. Traveling is expensive. And not only in money, but in time. Because as a small business, we only have so much resources, right? We're at the smallest amount of resources that we'll ever have. And so we got to use those wisely. And it sparked the idea for TeamingPro and then making it to where companies don't have that headache at all. You find an opportunity and then we match you up with other companies within our network, right? So HUBZone is one of the organizations that we love to work with. Of course, I'm on the board, so I feel very strongly about the HUBZone mission. And we use our software to help the HUBZone members go and find not only opportunity, but qualified teammates really quickly. So they don't have to go through and look over a thing of like 4,000 people and be like, we want these business owners to be able to come in and be able to just focus on the one thing that they started their business for, like the skill that they're offering versus all this other stuff. So that's what we do is we try to take the burden off of the companies by offering quick ways to go find proper teammates, right? And working with the HUBZone Council to be able to help HUBZone members specifically. That's a whole nother challenge building the HUBZone, but it's a worthy one. So and it's good for the country. So all of that stuff, that's how we tie in.
And HUBZone, it stands for Historically Underutilized Business Zone. It's not like there is a lot of attention being paid to these organizations in these sort of smaller, more underutilized areas. So it's hard for those businesses to try to find where to spend their time and their money and their energy and their resources effectively, because in this day and age, there are just an abundance of events to go to. There are an abundance of companies to reach out to, and there's an abundance of places to try to advertise and try to network. And I think we all know that these days LinkedIn is just becoming a lot of AI slop that is just perpetuating itself. It is really unfortunate.
It is.
And it's hard for those companies to figure out how to be seen and then how to find others that may have skill sets or resources or pertinent teaming factors that may come into play with their next bid. So I'm curious, what kind of factors does TeamingPro look at when it comes to looking at a company's background, past performance? Does it rate them, or how does that work?
Actually, all of it too.
Great.
And so when I first thought of it, I modeled it up against, as I was working business development, as well as I got the chance to work next to a guy in that company that he had been around forever. He was in his 80s, right? And he knew everybody. Yes. He had retired from 3 major companies. He used to fly helicopters. And so he's the kind of guy who could pick up the phone and get something moving. And it's because he had all the connections that you could think of. And so I modeled it after rules or that make those kinds of connections relevant, right? So in this case, companies, let's say, all starts with what we're going after. So in TeamingPro's case, there's always something in the middle. There's an opportunity or a contract or something that two B2B parties can have valid interest in. And they have to overlap in such a way to where it's not crossover, but it's joining. So in this case, let's say you have a company A, and they have a certain amount of capabilities and past performance. And then you have company B, who has some overlapping capabilities, but some other adjoining past performance, as well as set aside and all that kind of stuff. Imagine if you had this opportunity and like you could pick your company A, right? And you could pick the perfect company B. What would that look like specifically for that opportunity? And working down the list from that, I'll call it not really a mentor, but like a good example. Yeah. So to say, if we could, number one, get with a company who has to have the relevant past performance within the last 5 years. And if they happen to be doing that same kind of work for that exact government customer. So imagine if you can find the one who has the in, basically, right? Yeah. So when we do our TeamingPro matching, we're actually starting at that list from the top and then it works down. Okay. And we score the companies based on those various data points, like, okay, they have past performance and it's with this government customer and it's within this time frame and like all this stuff. Sure. Things that would make up a good partner. That's built into the algorithm and shows a scoring, and it's all based on points. So it could be like 1,200 points on this company. The next company down might have 874, something like that. So that tells you how much past performance that they have with that government customer. The one at the top of the list is the strongest candidate. So in this case, if you can team with the company that is best friends with or is recognizable to that government customer. Right. Wow. So that's how we do our matching. The algorithm goes down all those. There's a ton of data points in there, and each one is scored and weighted, but some are more important than others, basically. Okay. Yeah. Now, out of curiosity, is that weighting something that you can customize as a user? And if somebody having the past performance with the customer that you're trying to target is more important than having the direct skill set or having some adjacent sort of skill set, can you go in there and toggle those switches yourself, or are those things pretty much controlled by the system? For this particular kind of matching, like this is the past performance matching. So all right, for the capabilities matching, it's like when you click on an opportunity, let's say inside TeamingPro, we pre-fill the NAICS code, the PSC code, the location, the customer, all that stuff, and then we build on that. If you want to customize it, then yes, it's a full-blown edit screen to where you can go and customize not only the outreach, because the platform also does the outreach for our customers. You can customize who the outreach is going to go to. It's 100% versatile. It can even be a custom message. Let's say you find like a SAM.gov op, right? And we match it with 9 companies throughout the market that are in our network that are past, like good prime partners. You can go ahead and send that and take it. But if you found that and you had a couple companies that already matched up and they're in your CRM, because we have a built-in CRM inside here too. So then you match up in your CRM and say, hey guys, anyone interested in this? It looks like it's in our wheelhouse. So it's things just like that, right? So it's almost like business as usual for really good business developers. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
if you go find a really good business developer who's been doing this for 20 years and they just worked out all those kinks and they got a killer network, they know how to shuffle all of this stuff. That's what we bring to the small business here, but without having to have that skill set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the network, you don't have to build your own network. This is one of the other tedious things. Imagine how many companies we lose each year because ultimately what we found out was it's really their network. They don't have enough people to go to and take advantage of the opportunities that they could actually sink their teeth
Yeah.
into, but they don't have the connections. So we wanted to step in and try to solve that. Companies that use TeamingPro, of course, that your network just got over 35,000 companies. So it's makes it to where guys can take that next step. Logically, though, so there's the matching. So you actually can look at the matchings as a customer, but we also do the matching behind the scenes. When you want to go after an opportunity, we'll match you up with the 9, 12 companies that are good for it. You click a button, the TeamingPro platform sends out the outreach.
Wow.
And then of the 12 who see it, 62% of them will click in. And then 12% of them will historically go and take the next step and say, yeah, let's set up a call for this.
Yeah.
That's what it takes now. That's in the
Yeah.
modern age now to go find a prime. That's how small businesses can now find primes in the federal market, just like that.
And you know what the old adage is, your network is your net worth.
Really is in this industry.
It's all about who you know. And it is definitely, if you are not known, it is hard to get that seat at the table and get in the conversation. And
That's
I
right.
find that that's often something that small businesses and HUBZone businesses are especially struggling with because they just don't have the capacity. So it sounds like you're basically offering them the network and the capacity, in essence, helping them double, quadruple their
Yes.
capacity in
Yes.
exponential terms, which is a
Yes.
fantastic resource.
Oh, yeah. And we absolutely need it. All right. It's another reason why I'm on the HUBZone Council. I feel very strongly about small business. I believe this is where innovation comes from.
Right.
We need more of that in this country now, right? It makes it easier. Yeah. And during this whole journey, trying to figure this whole thing out, I realized that the businesses are, of course, they're expert in their one thing, but they're not
Right.
necessarily experts in anything else that it takes that you need to have to run a business.
Right.
In this case, in the federal market, it's the business development. And imagine you're a small business and you're wanting to come in. The average small business, you'll come in, you'll start working it as an owner. You'll try to find some opportunities. You might get some advice and go to an apex even, right?
Yeah.
And then say, okay, let me go see a counselor, make sure I got all my stuff set. But now let's say you survive all that and you might win something, you might not win something. Okay. But let's just say you want to take the next step. It's almost always the next step to focus on business development. I mean, okay, we have these services, we have all this stuff, and we've been trying the marketing, but what are we doing? It's all great, but it doesn't really matter unless someone's buying.
Right.
So, and that's
Yeah.
where we turn to BD.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's the growing and the scaling part that is often a limiting factor. And if you get past the beginning
Yeah.
stages and the SAM.gov crawling and nonsense that comes into this first part of government contracting, that, yeah.
Not to mention the guys that rip you off.
Oh, yeah.
I can't
Like,
tell you how many stories I've heard.
If you can avoid getting scammed more than once or twice, hopefully you've learned a lot. But there's just such a cottage industry of scammers that have cropped up that are offering anything from SAM.gov registrations, for instance, and then data and government information that it's like anymore is outdated. I get told all the time an org chart's basically outdated by the time it gets sent out, and you've got to follow the people around. And folks just don't really think to themselves, like, yes, I've got all of these core competencies and skill sets, but they don't go that next step to think, okay, does this play a small part of a larger type of project? And anytime that small businesses want to go and find work that is greater than what they're doing or bigger than like higher dollar value than what they're currently doing, you almost always have to have some teaming partners. And it comes down to a lot of the times folks are just either thinking, no one's going to give me a slice of the pie, or it's just going to be a smaller pie for everybody to get like more pieces of. It's really not worth the time to go out and explore. But the reality of it is when you're pursuing these bigger contracts, you're pursuing bigger contract values that you're going to be able to get a larger chunk of if you can come with qualified and capable teaming partners. If you can say, yes, we can pursue this as long as we've got a robust and diverse and a distributed team of companies that can attack each of these different sort of areas or task areas areas or qualification areas, because we've got this one or two down really pat, but we need other companies to come and support us with these other things that we just don't do because they're not in our wheelhouse. And it takes a big leap of faith for companies to really start to go out and explore their options and opportunities with teaming partners. And especially when you've got those primes out there that I won't mention names, but they tend to be a little bit predatory and a little bit exclusive and a little bit. Yeah, and
They are.
it's hard. There's this sort of myth, I think, going on out there that all the primes are going to just steal your tech and leave you out, and they'll sign a teaming agreement, but the subcontract will never come. And it ends up being a wash and a waste for those small companies that really honestly think that they're going out and they're doing good things. They're going out, they're trying to be progressive, and they're trying to go out and they're trying to be competitive and trying to play competitive nicely with the other folks that they compete with. But the reality of it is that I have found when small businesses work together, they bring so much more to the table than I think they even realize, because they can bring together their networks, their core competencies, their capabilities, their set asides. They can really create some interesting relationships when they look at all of those different factors that you're scoring and put them together as a whole picture. And as opposed to just saying, we just need somebody that checks this box for having customer relationship, then we'll bring them in and then we'll get them in front of the customer, and then they'll never see them again because we'll just never sign the subcontract or we'll never bring them on board. But reality is that tools like TeamingPro help companies form those relationships that have that longevity and that high lifetime value. And then they're able to go forward and form some of these longer term sort of relationship types like joint ventures and longer term teaming agreements. And it allows them to then see the bigger picture of, this is not only the companies that I know right now, there's all these other companies that I can get to know. And they get that good experience, they get that good relationship started, and then they get the opportunity to go out and replicate that many times over. And then you start to see these companies start to emerge from these small business statuses into a much larger business status, which I think what all small businesses eventually want to do is grow and not be just a small business and not just have to be in that small business size standard. So I think it's a great tool that you've produced and that you're providing. And I'm curious, how's it playing a role in the HUBZone Conference that's coming up?
So with the HUBZone Conference, we're reaching out to all of the participants, first of the HUBZone Council, but all of the guys that are going to be at the conference.
Yeah.
So first we use TeamingPro to where we'll do outreach and start giving some training on the matchmaking that's coming up.
Yeah.
So kind of get them going, then they'll walk, hopefully, or prepare themselves for the conference. Because if we can get them to not only know who's there, but then also prepare something maybe that they have that could be relevant to talk with someone else that's going to be there. So this is what we're trying to actually do, match up at that kind of level ultimately. And it's not just TeamingPro that's involved in this whole thing. It's a big, huge team effort. And so there's one other company that's actually helping the back end or the scoring and the matching on that end too. But TeamingPro is kind of organizing all of it. I'm trying to ultimately get it to where if you're going to come to the conference, you're going to spend your money as a small business, right? You're going to come to this conference, then man, we're going to try to make it to where you get the biggest bang out of that buck. If we can get you to be as educated as possible about who's going to be there, who it is that matches up with you based on something relevant in between, an opportunity contract or something, right? Capabilities, like the things, the information. And then by the time you get there, the best case scenario is you've had it to where you're ready to walk in and they know who you are, you know who they are, and you're going to talk about something that's going to be of relevance to both of you. Man, it would be the perfect thing. I think it's the best place to go have a handshake, and that's where deals are made. So we're trying to bring the online stuff for all of that together and then join it together with the human element at the end of it, to where education and matching and all of that stuff, that those data points have to align for businesses to have relevancy together, but go and then culminate it at the conference. That's the kind of role that we're trying to go play there. It'd be great if small business can walk out of there with either some next steps, contract, partners, the whole deal, to make it worth it. You know what I mean? That's what we're trying to do anyway.
Yeah, and it is something to be said about moving past that average and typical, this is how we do business conversation. And that's never a conversation that really results in anything deeper than just surface deep skin value.
It's so interesting too, because think about it, right? So small businesses, okay, imagine the size of all of our businesses. And if we're looking to grow, then we're at the smallest we'll ever be right now. Okay, so that means if we were going to go raise money, Chelsea's going to go raise $1 million for a
Sure.
podcast. We're going to blow this thing up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That would be the most expensive $1 million that you would ever raise for this company. A year from now, after growth, it'll be cheaper, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So as we all are now, is the most expensive thing now. And the resources are limited, the cash, the skill sets, all of it together, right? And here, like a conference is a big investment. For some
It is.
companies, it's a big part of it. Like you might be able to do one or
Yeah.
two of these things a year, maybe. I don't know, who knows? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to do with the HUBZone thing, knowing that we want to get the companies that are at that stage, like, okay, we're brand new, we got to watch our dollars, but we want to get the most bang out. We're interested in this. We like what the HUBZone's doing.
Right.
They might not even be a HUBZone company, but they might just be a small business, right? Everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if they want to bring their innovation in, then the average way these companies get started and have to go build out their networks and then go and trial, fail and try. And imagine how many businesses we've lost along the way, and make it to where it's not so impossible to take your innovation, to take your idea, your business, and then legitimately move it much more quickly to that end result, the ultimate end result that everyone's trying to get to anyway, which is the right conversations with the right companies about the right things. That's ultimately it.
And making those events worthwhile and making sure that you're getting the ROI out of it, because companies invest a lot in these things.
Yeah.
It is no small feat to get small businesses out to large events, even if they have their best interest at heart. It's very much a budgeting effort and a budgeting game where you've got to figure out, can I afford to do this? And I think the question is not so much that with HUBZone. I really think it's, can you afford to not come to the HUBZone conference this year?
That's what's really interesting about it too. Okay, so you bring up an excellent point. You look at the price tag of something as small businesses here. Okay, we'll look at the price tag and say, wow, okay, this is expensive, or it seems expensive. But think about it now, given your growth plans and all that other kind of stuff, what if you didn't do it? Then where are you?
Exactly. Do something, or you just you stale out and die. Yeah.
So there's going to be an investment made regardless, right? Now, we want to try to make the best choices. I think every business owner out there thinks in almost the exact same way. All right, what can I do today to further my goal and actually go grow my business? When there's a lot to that, right? And so I think a whole lot of times we get shown things like I get where I see that to where I've lowered my prices to the point where the lowest one, it costs $149 a month. Right. So $150 a month, a brand new company can come in, start using my Auto Connect, right? Which is, that's how you talk to all the members of the network. And then there'll be companies that'll come back, they'll start conversations, and then they'll be able to store those conversations in their CRM. Okay.
Sure.
So your basic necessities, essentially, to go out there, but using our network though, because no one's got a network, it's super expensive to build a network. This is the thing that we recognize. And if you want to grow at all in this industry, you have to team. You have to have a network. You have to have your prime partners, your other sub partners, like however you go and individually work your business. There's no going it alone in this thing. And so just networking itself, imagine you're a business owner. You might not be so comfortable going out there and drumming up business as a business, even though you got the best widget in the world. You might not feel so good about it.
Yeah.
And you might not have any idea where to get started. So now, in that sense, this is where small businesses will go and say, let me go and hire a consultant or someone. And then 10 grand later, they're still in the exact same spot 6 months down the road or 5 months down the road. One of the other things is companies can go and hire someone that's retiring that will promise, okay, I'll win you $1 million in the next year. And they're retiring from the military, right? Have you heard that? Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rarely does it work. Rarely. And I know all this because I'm picking up the pieces of these companies, because then they're coming to me saying, hey, Tim, what's this TeamingPro thing? And then I show them how you can do it all online by themselves. And then they're like, oh, man. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much how it works. I get to hear these stories. And it just makes me think I'm happy for the companies that were strong enough to survive some of those things. But I do think about the innovation that we've lost along the way because it's such a rocky road. Yeah, so where companies really can go take a lot of solace or go and actually shield themselves from a whole lot of this is with great teaming partners. Yeah, you really got to go do it. But finding them online nowadays is just so much easier. Imagine you're in Oklahoma, you might not ever meet the partner that's in Maryland. You might not ever go to the same convention even. So what we were thinking of was like, okay, since we got to go team it anyway, why not make it as powerful as we can think of? So in this case, imagine you're a small business, you go to a convention, you're with all the other small businesses. Okay, the best that you could do is whoever happens to be in the room. And that's if you meet them, and that's all that.
Sure.
In our case, we take an opposite tact and then say, who is a strategic partner based on their past performance? Let's line them up like that. So that's how we do our matching. That's how we do our stuff. So when companies come and use our Auto Connect and reach out, they're reaching out to companies that are matching in that way, right? And then capabilities and stuff.
Right.
So that's more of a laser guided kind of attack, right? In this case, if you're a small business, that's what we're looking for. What kind of tool can we adopt or whatever it is that will get us to that end result the fastest and cheapest way possible? And so the way that we see it is that small businesses really need more small businesses to come into the federal market. We, especially in the industrial sector. This is one of the other things. So with HUBZone, we've done a lot of work on this side too. We're really deficit our manufacturing sector within the industrial base. Okay, so there's an average of one bid per manufacturing contract, which means that there is a weakness inherent in our supply chain.
Right.
You get one of those companies that's responsible for a very important part, then we're in a little bit of trouble if they break down.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like we don't have the manufacturers in the country. They're just not playing on the federal side.
Right.
So we need to do something to be able to get these guys in much faster and much easier, especially manufacturing, because it really is something that, especially from the HUBZone perspective, we're really focusing on that. We think we have a major opportunity right now. Quite honestly, it's because the tariffs are so high. It makes it to where the American manufacturing perspective is actually viable. It's a little cheaper to get some stuff sourced here that used to be cheaper to go source in China.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And
Crazy.
Being able to bring those manufacturers together. Once you get one part, a couple of parts, an assembly, then you've got a whole system that you can sell up back into the supply chain, which is going to be a whole lot more robust if you've got some reasonable and equitable competition going on. Players are going to be in the field because, like you said, there are just too few manufacturers that are even interested in playing in the federal sector, and being able to get them in the market and address some of their fears early on and get them some teaming partners that'll be equitable, that will show them some love coming up through their initial starting points. That's one of the best ways to get them through this rocky and turbulent time when you're just starting. So I think bringing manufacturing back and then bringing manufacturing into the federal supply chain is absolutely critical to our future industrial base and our future supply chains for anything that you can imagine throughout the entire federal contracting ecosystem. It's not just Department of War, but they make up a lot of it. And there are a lot of things that folks are just not either producing it anymore, they're not interested. And that's just a shame, because those are things that we have found now that we need, that are absolutely critical to our industrial supply chain.
And it's one of those things, it's almost as if we keep recognizing this thing after the catastrophe is already starting to roll downhill. And it's, oh man, now we got to do something to try to fix this and stop that, right? I really hope that maybe as an industry in the federal market, that's something that maybe hopefully we can ultimately get past. But who knows? This is a huge market. There's so much money that runs through this thing, man. It's just so many contracts that get awarded. It's mind-blowing.
Enough for everybody.
There is so much, Chelsea. I get the numbers every day on how many contracts get awarded every day and how much it's worth. 34,000 contracts on any average given day. That's normal. Crazy.
That's a lot of money. And those folks that aren't using TeamingPro, and those folks that aren't leveraging their set-aside status and that aren't getting out there and coming to events like the HUBZone Conference, they're missing out, and a serious impact on your bottom line, on your budget numbers, that you just can't afford to miss it.
So the small businesses, we need to market ourselves. And this is one of the black holes, right? I really feel so bad for small businesses. All right, so in my business, we do support in federal contracting side and services side, right? But for the vast most part, we're a SaaS. So we're software as a service. So we sell plans to companies and government entities and stuff. Okay. So not necessarily competing in the same way, although that we do, but it's very particular. So these companies are out there, right? They're small businesses. And then they're told, hey, you have to market yourself. And then a whole lot of small businesses, I feel, are probably like, they're not even sure why they're doing it.
Yeah.
They might have a question and they might not even know who to go ask that question to. Like, why am I even marketing myself? Who am I marketing myself to? What am I doing? What does it even mean? Right. But the whole idea of it is so you, ultimately, the small business, can end up in a scenario to where you are having a conversation with another teaming partner about something. Okay, so when you market your company, let's just say, hey, we're a small business, we do this, we have these capabilities. You're hoping that a prime or someone who needs a subcontractor is going to reach out to you. Same thing. You do that on the government side. Say, hey, small business officers, we are ABC company. We have these capabilities, this past performance, right? A lot of these guys, and they might even drop off their capability statement. That's marketing, right? But all in hopes of, hey, if something comes across their desk, meaning that if there's a prime that needs a sub, all of that marketing effort is in the hopes of ultimately getting to a conversation with the prime contractor, something that they can do together. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do have to market, right? But I personally think that it's a better mousetrap to, instead of as a small business, like throwing everything out there, you got social this, instead of doing all that, take our resources and focus in and just go after specifically the companies that make sense. Now, this is one of the other reasons why we built TeamingPro, because not only do we do that, but knowing that the owners don't want to send an email, the owners don't want to go even. I actually started this off, my first version showed you, okay, these are all the companies. And so I thought, that's all you need. This is great. But I found that almost every one of my users would say 8 out of 10 would not take that next step. They were just getting it, but then they got afraid or they got distracted or they got whatever, and then they moved on to something else, right? So I built the auto connect thing to say, okay, here are all the companies. Here's the one. All you got to do is press this button. Go. That's it. It's the easy button. So then TeamingPro sends the emails out, right? TeamingPro does the outreach. This is one of the things that we curated over the last 7 years of that perfect outreach that makes sense, that's relevant, and that gets the highest click rate, right? And then go and check it out. So knowing that companies, like they might not be so comfortable, or they might not even have a BD department. It might just be however the whole thing. If we can leverage technology to take out some of those issues and those burdens, then it makes total sense. Like in this case, do a laser guided thing as a small business, start talking to the companies the next day. Yeah. Versus the other natural paradigm now is, okay, you got to go market and you're out throwing all. Now you still need that stuff, right?
Sure.
But that ends up becoming a part of it ultimately, if you're able to go and take your resources, put them to work as efficiently as possible. Anyway, so, but yeah, it's something else that we recognize, and small businesses have quite a battle there, essentially, right?
Yeah, no barriers to entry and barriers to growth for those small businesses that are looking to do. But I truly think programs like the HUBZone program and opportunities to work with organizations and tools like TeamingPro, that is hands down some of the best leverage and some of the best opportunity that you're going to get provided to you by any sort of advocacy organization, especially something like the HUBZone Council, who is out there advocating for and helping grow small businesses and helping grow just the whole HUBZone ecosystem from the bottom up. And so I think it's not only an admirable and an appreciated service that you're providing, but also something that's definitely critical and needed for the industrial base as we're trying to navigate regrowing it from those years ago when we lost all those businesses, and every year since when we've continued to do.
I really think that we'll do it. I went to an SBA advocacy meeting in DC. It was like the 50th anniversary, something, right? So I had a chance to talk to them and some of the SBA guys. It's actually 2 different groups. No matter how you feel politically, I don't like to talk politically, right? But no matter how the situation is what it is now. And so I will say this administration, it seems very interested in helping small business. They came out with the SBA loans to where if you have anything that's within the manufacturing sector, as well as the food sector, come to find out, right? They have a 90% SBA covered or backed loan. And they also have opportunities for private investment there too. So that's one of the ways that the government is trying, through the SBA, help small businesses in those sectors, right? So manufacturing or food, right? And then talking to the other people within the SBA organization, they're really trying to cut the regulations. They actually don't know a whole lot of times the things that are out there that are blocking these small businesses up. A whole lot of times they won't know until they get a letter or until they get an email. And that doesn't happen as often as we would think. But they're very small business friendly. And they're very interested in how HUBZone can, or how we can utilize the HUBZone program. And there's been talk about something possibly with HUBZone overlaying with opportunity zones.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting thing there. The 2 different maps overlay, they're almost identical, right? So hub zones and opportunity zones are the same thing. And so if there's an opportunity to merge those some way together to where we can, now the opportunity zone brings in private investment.
Right.
So we could have private investment come in for HUBZone, not only HUBZone companies, but the real estate that HUBZones are in, which is what it comes down to. That's one of the things that we love about the HUBZone thing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about local. This is all
Right.
about building up each local area, right? And really, in some way, like part of that means that this is real estate. This is
Right.
actually a good investment in a whole lot of these cases. And so if we can get some more federal funding and dollars funneled down towards this type of initiative, then yeah, then we actually could see more HUBZone companies, especially HUBZone is pretty synonymous with construction and all that kind of stuff. There are high-tech HUBZone companies.
Oh, of course.
But they almost get overlooked a little bit. In fact, they might be looked at differently in some cases. And we want to get the education and the awareness of not only HUBZone, but how it ties into the local. But it's not just construction. There's other kind of jobs, which are good, great jobs. But it's the high-tech part of the industry too, along with the other part of manufacturing, that actually really makes up a great set of good potential jobs and good opportunity to build these areas up, even if it takes one at a time. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
We're all in this for the long haul, right? But I really did find that this administration seemed to be very friendly about that, and they want to open up competition. And so small businesses, since they say, hey, they want to open up competition, that's awesome. Okay, then TeamingPro and the
Right.
HUBZone, we'll do as much as we can to pave the road, to bring more of these small businesses in to compete. That's the name of our game right now, try to get more of these guys in. So we can increase competition, we can get better pricing, we can get higher quality services and products. And that's us as US citizens, because the ultimate
Right.
customer is the government, right?
Yeah.
These are our tax dollars. And so
Exactly.
we all have skin in this game when it comes down to
Exactly.
it.
If folks want to get a hold of you, if folks want to know more about TeamingPro and folks want to know more about what your role is with the HUBZone Council and how you're getting involved, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, a couple of ways. First, you can just come to the website. So it's teamingpro.com. You can email me personally, tim.hagerty@teamingpro.com. Please check me out on LinkedIn. You can search me, Tim Hagerty, and you can please reach out to me on LinkedIn. And then if you want to ask me questions about the HUBZone thing, all of those emails, I strive to get back with everyone within 24 hours.
That's great.
Please feel free to reach me on any of those platforms, and then I will do my absolute best to make sure I get that done.
That's fantastic. We'll get all those links into the show notes for folks that want to take time out of their day to reach out and they want to get a hold of you.
Cool.
And hopefully we'll see you at the HUBZone Conference coming up.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very much looking forward to it.
This has been a great conversation, Tim. Really appreciate your time today. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the conference.
Oh, same here, Chelsea. Thank you so much. This has been great. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening to this week's episode of GovCon Unscripted. And we're on the road to HUBZone. So we hope to see all of you at the HUBZone Conference. Please subscribe and make sure you leave a comment on your favorite platform, and we'll always get back to you. Thanks so much, Tim, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you, Chelsea. See you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of GovCon Unscripted with your host, Chelsea Roberts. Do you have a GovCon story or need guidance in government contracting? Connect with Chelsea on LinkedIn to be a guest on the show or to enhance your business strategy. Don't forget, your network is your net worth. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your growing GovCon community.